spiritual warfare. This isn't a clever term or concept. This is what's happening. All the questions that people are asking about, like, oh man, like, this is really hard and I want to stop, but oh, I relapsed again. I know better. I shouldn't do that, but I relapsed again. Edging. Man, why do I keep looking at the girls and trying to get hits of validation and edge? Like, how many times I got to keep doing that? Like, I know that it doesn't do anything for me. It just disturbs my nervous system, but yet I keep doing it. Why? Because there's a war between your, you can say, spiritual tendencies and then your lower nature of trying to, like, please your senses. You see, it's like the sense pleasures, the senses, the sense centers are like warring against your spiritual nature. Spiritual nature doesn't fight, doesn't have to. It stands alone as truth. But our attention, because of conditioning and because the whole damn society perpetuates it, it keeps us like stuck on this lower level nature of trying to get dopamine hits, trying to feel better, trying to always extract some external energy to give us a sense of well-being and feeling good. Spiritual nature, it's good, period. Doesn't need anything. You sit in a closet all day, you're fine. I'm exaggerating for illustrative purposes. So this is normal, this tension and, friction that you're feeling. It's like we got to fight to kind of get our life back. Our life meaning our natural state, our natural way of existing that something inside knows. See, it won't leave you alone. You can't just say, oh man, it's too hard. I'm just going to do PMO all the time and that's what I'm going to do because it's too hard. You might maybe a little while, but at some point this voice, this instinct to wake up is not going to leave you alone. It's going to keep hitting you like inside, like, man, change. I'm trying, but it's hard. Just do it. So you're going to fall. You're going to fall, and you're going to get back up, and then you're going to fall, and you're going to get back up, and this is what it's going to do. And don't put a time limit on how long that lasts. It could last for years. We don't know. There's a bunch of factors that determine that. How strong. Some people are more sex addicts than others, or edging addicts. If you're more addictive by nature, then it's going to be more difficult. But God put tools here. You can go to 12-step meetings. You can fellowship. You can use your intuition and see, what can I do? What are the tools that will help this process easier, make it easier? And then you do that. You follow your intuition. You don't follow the addict mind. You see, you got to discern which voice is talking, higher self, lower self, angel, devil, whatever you want to, call it. And you got to listen to your higher self. It guides you. And you got to expect that you're going to fall down and relapse. Don't make it the end of the world. The highest way of perceiving this, I found this out a while ago, and it worked because I had no other option. It just didn't work constantly beating yourself up after you relapse. We're not going to be perfect. Like, it's impossible. We're very imperfect as a human being, and it's very difficult to transcend the second most strongest instinct that God put in the human being, which is the sexual instinct. That gets perverted over time and because of society and a bunch of factors. And so then it starts coming out in weird ways and looking at PMO and trying to get, being obsessed with female attraction and girls and edging and all that. So to let that dissolve and come back to our center, it's not an easy process. So you gotta, this is what I found out. You hold space for yourself. It's like if you had a little kid and the kid kept getting in trouble at school or something. What are you going to do? You're going to beat him when he comes home? Yeah, you would, because see, if that's what you do to your own self, you're going to do that to the kid. But if you see the kid's like trying, let's say like this. Let's use my own self as an example. When I was in, I remember this, I just remember certain things because this was messed up. They're giving me Haldol, which is a strong psychotropic drug, when I was a kid. And then I was in 7th grade. I'm sitting at the desk. You see, they're giving it. I was super hyper because I was full on, but nobody like embraced that. They're like, nah, he's too hyper. He should just be sitting here and learning about this nonsense they're teaching me in school. And I'm like, this is stupid. but like they didn't think it was stupid. Thought I was stupid. This story of my life and a lot of your people your lives. The world's like making you think there's something wrong with you, but really the damn world's messed up. On some level, sometimes there's something wrong with us. We got to check and see and do inventory. Is it me or is it the people? And you have to see. Sometimes it's us. But it wasn't at that point. In the 7th grade, they were giving me, so I was hyper as hell all the time. Then they gave me these drugs, and then I was just like zombie. So I'd go to school, and they're talking this nonsense, and I would just put my head on the desk and go to sleep. I remember this teacher came, and he like hit my desk really hard. Like, he's kind of a crazy teacher. You know, it's like, how dare you sleeping in my class? So I would, but this would happen all the time. I would always fall asleep. But that was a time that I really remember, you know. So the point is, I would get in trouble for falling asleep, but like I'm taking like heavy doses of pharmaceutical drugs. How am I not going to go to sleep? Anybody would it'll put a horse down, some of that stuff. So I'm getting punished for something like I didn't do it, right? What's the point? Yeah, what's the title even? I even forgot that. Oh, I can look. Warfare. All right. But I mean, what was the point though of that, of telling that story? Because, oh well, let's see. Maybe you can piece it together somehow, man. Whatever I was talking about before I went off on the story, I was saying that to illustrate a point. So maybe you'll get it. I mean, I can watch the video over and get it, but then it's too late. So you got these spiritual tendencies inside that they want. It's like it wants the human self. What's the human self? Mind, emotions, tendencies, desires. That is trying, like the evolutionary game is that gets merged, you can say, with the higher self. Okay, I just described the lower self. What's the higher self? Higher self is serenity. Higher self is clear perception, clear thinking, compassion, tolerance for others, unconditional love. I love you because I feel myself in you. This is why I love you, not for what you can do for me. That's conditional love. Unconditional is, that's why you can't, once you feel you have some unity, you can't hurt anything. Now, if a mosquito bites me, I'm gonna take care of it. But I'm protecting myself. Now, some might argue, no, but that's karma. Okay, whatever. But if something's not bothering me, you don't feel to hurt that thing. Insects, or like if they're in my house or something, I'll like scoop them out and throw them out the window or something. I think they can brace the fall. So I'm not going to smash them. And same with animals. You can see how people treat animals. Some people so unconscious, man. The only people they might treat good is themselves or their family. It's a very, very tribal level of consciousness. Anything else, any other people, it's like they dehumanize them. They're not even, let alone animals, let alone insects. They don't even think twice. That's higher self level, though, when you start to feel this unity. So the lower self, it likes addictions and habits, and it likes drama, and it likes to find those situations that vivify the lower self so it can live, because otherwise it gets starved. Semen retention, when you're doing that and you cut out the PMO, this lower self starts to get starved, and then it fights for its life. You see, you understand the process? And sometimes it breaks out some big guns, and then you relapse. It's all right. You get back up and you keep going. At some point, see, the spiritual self always wins, though, in the end. It's just we got to go through that experience and feel this war taking place inside. This is part of the game. This is what we signed up for. This is the virtual reality game that we're playing. We have to experience all that. But you don't beat yourself up. You try, I've said this many times, I'll keep saying it. You do the best you can do. At the same time, you give yourself space. Is that what I was referring to? Somehow I think that's why I brought up the example in school. Let's see. Let's see. I don't quite remember exactly, but let's see. Maybe it'll come. You give yourself space if you relapse and you mess up. This is what you do. Now, there'll be some level of guilt and shame, maybe. Like, that's part of the deal, though. That's like, otherwise, we wouldn't be motivated to be our higher self. But don't amplify that with thoughts, because the mind, same mind, tells you to go out and relapse, then it's going to beat you up for doing it. You see? The lower self is all about drama and tension and stress and making you feel bad. It's almost like it wants to get you in some suicide state. It like thinks it can kill you and continue or something. It doesn't realize that you're the host. But it can get messy. It can get, this lower mind self, it's not your friend. But yet so many people listen to it because it like speaks so loud. It drowns out your higher self, your intuition. You got to realize that and start to, that has to be flip-flopped. You have to start paying more attention to your intuition and higher self. When that happens, this lower self gets absorbed in that automatically because you're starving it. It's just like it gets absorbed. Like like it starts to die. Like if there's a dead body here, at some point it's going to get absorbed in the earth because the life force isn't moving in it anymore. It's the same thing. When we start to neglect and stop feeding this lower self, it starts to die. The life force starts to kind of recede from that, and then it gets absorbed in the higher self, and then you're enjoying this higher plane. You're just more content, you're more relaxed, you're more intuitive, you're more wise, you can see situations, you don't need to read books, you just see things directly. People like you more, they're more drawn to you. Okay, now we can get into the so-called superficial benefits. You're more magnetic, you're more attractive, more healthy, because life force is flowing through you. But don't get caught on that. That's not the real, that's secondary stuff. Primary stuff is you're living in a height of your being. This is primary. You keep your attention there because the lower self can activate again if we start thinking too much about the superficial benefits. Oh, I'm getting more attention now from the girl. Damn, something wants to melt that. Next thing you know, we're back into our lower self. So you got to be aware of all these little pitfalls. Have fun with this game, though. Don't trip. Don't be like, oh, man, this is just a lot of work. No, it is what it is. In the end, we all win. That's all that matters, right? So if you know you're going to win in the end, that's it. You won. You won already. What's the end? What's the difference between the end and now? Only time, the illusion of time makes it look like, whoa, that's a long time away. Look at your whole life. If you're 30 years old, where are those 30 years? It's like it was just a writing on water, and now the water, it's like don't even exist anymore. Just the whole life is like that. Something, get in touch with that. Realize that. And then you take things less serious. You won't be like, well, this thing happened and now I'm devastated. You just chill. You know it's going to pass. You can see my spiritual channel if you want, Spiritual Renaissance. Also, if you want to know more about health, I talk more about that on my other channel, True Health. Both links are in the description box, so you can check them out. All right, see you.